Hey guys, welcome back to Geared For. My name is Paul, and today we're taking a look at the MT22 by Trustfire, but first a quick disclaimer, this was sent by Trustfire for review. However, they provided no monetary compensation and have no input into the final product of the review or my opinions about the light. That said, I will be trying to make sure that receiving the light did not affect my opinion in any way, shape, or form. Just wanted to let you know that. But now let's jump on in. First of all, this is an 18650 light, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and get some size comparisons. First we have a 91mm Swiss Army knife. Let's actually put this in the center of the frame. And a 58mm Classic. Then next up, how about we go for some battery cell comparisons. Here we have a AAA and a AA. And of course we have a mandatory girth comparison. And how about the cell that is actually in the light, an 18650. And girth comparison. And a comparison that I would like to make, not because it's a particularly good point of comparison, but just that I find it impressive. This is the Warrior Mini Original from Olight, and up until now this was by far the most compact 18650 light I have owned. But it's right there with the MT22. The crenulated bezel just is a little bit longer on the MT22. But that's what I found so impressive. Like, even though this is an 18650 light with a magnetic tail in there and a built-in charging circuit, and we have actually quite a deep reflector on it, it is actually still very compact, making it very easily pocketable and carryable for EDC. But with that said, let's go take a quick look at the design. So as we do have a crenulated bezel here. Now this does a couple things. One, if your light is, say, turned on, then you can actually see some of the light spill out from the side, so you know that it's on. Otherwise, it has a more, I suppose, tactical application. By giving you fewer points of contact, you increase the amount of force on those places. So if you were to use it as a striking implement, it could potentially be a little bit more effective. And if you were to use it in that manner, it just enough does protrude from the hand to make it viable. Next up, we have a nice little accent button here. Now in the middle we do have a charging indicator that goes green, yellow, red for the different battery levels. And around that we have a bit of a bit of a more angular design. And what this effectively means here is that this light won't actually roll around too much. Like, you can get it to roll, but it will naturally want to stop on its own, so it's not going to roll off of the table. Around back here we have a USB-C charging port underneath a flap. Now I do like that this flap's connection point is offset, so you can actually get the flap completely out of the way. That said, that is a very, very small amount of rubber to connect that to the body, and I wouldn't be surprised if this went missing at some point. Now onto the clip, we have a okay clip. It's not particularly deep. Now if you were to actually put this in your pocket, then you would get about this much protruding, which isn't too bad. It gives you enough to grab the light from, but it's also not the deepest of carries, and this is only a bezel down carry light. This is an easily removable clip and you can rotate it around. It just slots on. That was a very unpleasant squeaking sound. And we have some texture here, just straight horizontal cuts into the aluminium body with a flat tail cap with some lanyard holes in the side should you choose to throw a lanyard on this, and it will tail stand quite nicely. That tail is also magnetic and the magnet is decently strong. I have tested this out on vertical and horizontal surfaces, and it does quite well holding the flashlight's weight, which the compactness actually does help there, as you don't have a lot of levering action going on because it is a bit shorter. Now in the manual, this is down with an orange peel reflector that we can see right there, and the orange peel is going to give you a nice smooth beam. However, the reflector is also deep enough that you're also going to get a decent amount of throw out of it. With that said, let's go ahead and first take a look at the brightnesses, and then we'll take a look at the UI. Okay, I'll try and keep this up on screen, but if you want to read through this, feel free to pause the video. Now, moonlight's going to be 2.5 lumens for a whopping 500 hours. Low is going to clock in at a substantially brighter 100 lumens for 18 hours and 36 minutes. Middle is going to be 500 lumens for 5 hours 10 minutes. And high is 2250 lumens for 115 minutes. Now we do also have a strobe at that 2250, and we don't have any step down information for the various values as the battery decreases and thermal throttling clicks in, but I can guarantee there will be some step down happening here. And whilst we're here, battery indication is also going to be green 70 to 100%, yellow is going to be 30 to 70%, and red is 15 to 30, and red flashing 5 to 15%. With that said, let's jump on into the UI for the MT22. Okay, now the UI on this is going to be similar to other Trustfire lights. You would have seen this on the channel under the Mini X3, whereas this by default, a single press is not going to do anything. We have kind of a default lock situation going on. So a half-second press will bring us in, and this is going to be Moonlight, and then low, medium, and then into our high, which the camera is adjusting, but I can feel the heat on my palm, and God, my eyes are closed right now. And then off is simply just press and hold for another half second, and we get off. Now, there are some interesting quirks to this UI, so if you want to go to strobe, and this is going to be a strobe warning, if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, please look away, or please skip ahead in the video. To strobe, you actually hold down from off for 2 seconds, and then a single press will turn that off, and then you go back to your regular mode. So as far as I can see in the manual, I don't think there's actually a way for you to get to strobe from off. See if we can actually, nope. So it has to be off, and then you can go from off straight to strobe. Now we do have a digital lockout, which is just going to be a double press, and then you get flashing to acknowledge, and then when you try to turn it on, it's just going to flash at you. A double press will turn that off, and then we'll come back on as normal. Now there is also one more aspect to this light. Get back out of that lock function, which is quite interesting, and it's a reverse charging power bank function. This is something that we've seen previously on the channel in the IF23 from Sofern. So you can actually use this USB-C port to reverse charge another device using the 18650 inside as a power bank. But rather than that being a smart or default situation, you have to actually turn that on. So from the off position, you just tap this 3 times, and then it gives you an acknowledgement, and then you can go ahead and plug in. So that is very useful. Now this is only an 18650, so it's not going to be a huge amount of power, but we'll tackle that later, and it is a good option to have. And again, if you want to get out of that power mode, just 1, 2, 3, gives you the red flashes, and you're back to standard flashlight function. Now with all that covered, let's go ahead and take a look at what you get in the box. So you do obviously get the instruction manual, as we've already seen. Then you also get a lanyard, a decent length USB-C cable, and also tucked on in we have a replacement O-ring should yours deteriorate, come off, or get ripped. Okay, so let's take a look at the pros of the MT22. Now first and foremost, it is just has to be said how solid of a light this is. The build quality is good. It's very nice and compact, so it's easy to carry. 18650 in today's landscape is a decently available battery. You shouldn't have a hard time replacing it if you need to. USB-C charging is by now the standard and makes charging quick, easy, and convenient, and you can still remove the cell to use a bay charger should you wish. The crenulated bezel does give you some degree of a tactical option should you be into that kind of thing. And overall, it has a good balance of flood versus throw with that nice deep reflector and the orange peel. If you want to see the beam shots in action, then I encourage you to check out the short showing off the beam sections. I'll try and leave a card up here for that. Every time I put out a light review, there is an associated short that shows off the beam patterns just in a more concise way that doesn't detract from the main review. That's really the main thing about this, is that this is a really solid light. There's not really that much bad about it. That's really the best thing I can say about this, is that it's not super exciting. The battery charging is actually, reverse charging rather, is actually an interesting feature that I like to see. I like that they've locked that behind a special mode. But it's just a really solid, well-priced light. I believe this is going to run you something like 35 bucks, something like that, and for an 18650 light, that is very good pricing. In terms of where this light falls down, or the con, so to speak, the main thing here is going to be the UI, and that's kind of a recurring thing with Trustfire, in my opinion. Now, this is the second Trustfire light that I've reviewed now, and the real thing between both of them is that they're good lights, solid lights, but the UI is the main hiccup. Having to press and hold to turn on is not unheard of. Other flashlight brands do it, but for that to be the only option is a little frustrating, and I would prefer if there was different modes you could switch into that would give you a single press on. And to build off of that, the whole double press lock feature, on a lot of major flashlight brands, a double press gets you into turbo. So to flip that from being turbo to lockout is going to mess with a lot of people's muscle memories. It's not a big thing, you'll get used to it if this is the only thing you're carrying, but if you flip-flop between lights, that can be a little confusing. And if you do value having a strobe, it's not the best way to access strobe, in my opinion. And the fact that you can just press and hold to get into it means that if this does get pressed and held down, rather than acting as more of a standby lockout mode, which it is generally, a quick press isn't going to knock this on in your bag, but if you hold it, it'll put it on the brightest mode, strobing. That's less than ideal. Otherwise, I just wish this had a bit of a better clip. Now, it's not a bad clip by any means, it does the job. I never had this come loose in my pocket, but I would prefer if this was deeper. This is a substantial amount to be outside of your pocket, and given that this is only a really compact 18650, I would have liked this to have either had the option to flip the clip up here so it's pointing the other way, or to have a bidirectional clip so that you could clip this to, say, the peak of a cap so that you can use it as a headlamp in a pinch. This is small enough and light enough that that could have been viable, and it's just a little bit of a shame they didn't go there, but that is a perk, so I don't want to lean too much heavily on that. So this is a great light, this is a solid light. I can recommend this if you can get behind the UI. If you can jive with the UI, then Trustfire makes very solid lights. And if you're interested in purchasing this, then please check out the link down below where there is a coupon for additional money off. It also helps the channel, and so we greatly appreciate that. But let me know down in the comment section below what you think of the MT22 and Trustfire in general. Are there any Trustfire lights that you would like to see me review? Then please let me know down there. And whilst you're there, I would greatly appreciate if you hit like and subscribe on the video. It does greatly help support the channel, and we do appreciate it. And if you'd like to support more directly, please consider either a YouTube membership, a Patreon join, or the Ko-Fi coffee, however you say it, donation system. It does help get more gear on the channel for review. Until next time, I've been Paul, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.